Welcome, everybody, to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Carolyn is amazing. She's a doctor, she's a naturopath, she's an herbalist, she's an acupuncturist. She's going to tell you exactly what she would do if she were in your shoes. I can't think of a person who has devoted more time to helping people's health than Dr. Carolyn Dean. She can make a huge difference as you listen to her words of wisdom. We know she's ahead of time because she is the doctor of the future. Welcome, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Yay! Good morning. What is it? Good afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let's see if the heart works. Right. Very good.
Whatever time you're joining us, whatever time zone, whatever day, could be a year from now.
Yep. So you see this, Ginny? Let's start with what I'm wearing.
Okay.
This is the coral turquoise pearl piece that's going to Mike Tyson. So what happened when I went to the Arizona, it was an extension of MAHA, the Vital Choice Project. It's a charity, and my charity, Paragenius Foundation, we joined in so that we could start educating pre-med students about nutrition so that they could survive med school. and I mean, it was an incredible experience because I met 3 pre-med students. 2 of them go to university 30 minutes away from our warehouse, and Ginny's already taken them on as what if you've adopted them, I think, right?
Practically.
Practically. So that's working out real well. I'll be going to North Carolina to visit the warehouse and then go up to the university and maybe do some talks. So when I was there, I knew I'd meet Mike Tyson because he was on one of the panels. And my jeweler, Janine, she said, I love Mike Tyson. I love his redemption story. He's an incredible person. And she wanted to give him a piece of jewelry. So I took it, and we all knew, it's going to be too small. And it was too small. It was 20 inches. This incredible piece is 30 inches.
Oh, wow.
Coral, turquoise, and a pearl. Wow. So I'll be sending this to Mike. Mike, if you're listening, this is coming. This is coming to you. Now, Mike Tyson, his charity run by his son, they support the Vital Choice Project as well. And they're also helping inner city kids learn, I guess it's maybe just learn kind of side trades or hobbies, just get them involved. Because what's happened with the youth today is they have no outlets. And we all know that. When I was a kid, my dad would just tell me to run around the block a few times and give me a nickel and enrolled me in everything, sports and Girl Guides. And then I graduated you just enroll your kids in as much as you can to keep them off the streets. But anyway, this is Mike's. It's coming to you. And Ginny, I found out that Garrett Pagel, the creator of the Vital Choice Project, 22-year-old kid, the age of 2 of my grandsons, he just got married this weekend. Yeah. And I was texting him all morning on his flight to Hawaii for his and his wife Sage's honeymoon. Isn't that amazing?
Beautiful.
Everything is so intertwined. It's wonderful. So I should email this to Melody Rose. If you want to see some of Janine's work.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. She's at mahinapearls.com. MAHINA, mahinapearls.com. She's on Instagram, but you can click on her Instagram button at mahinapearls.com. So if you want awesome jewelry, I wear it. I wear hers and Ria's jewelry every week. Ria doesn't have a website anymore. So that's it for my commercial announcements. On to the show, Ginny.
Very good. Very good. Well, for those of you joining us for the very first time, this is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, who you can already tell is a highly connected and very animated, passionate person. And she's here to connect with you about health, vitality, and well-being, natural health being her calling card. She's an expert in allopathic medicine as well, because she is an MD, but she's also an ND, a natural doctor, and she's been doing it for over 50 years. She's written books galore. I mean galore. And we usually talk about her book and her library, whatever we're featuring at the opening of the show. And then we're going to have a few segments on different blogs and things like that. And then we're going to have her medical opinions on some of the things of the day. So it's a full action-packed hour. We'd like you to stay with us. If you're on X and you're watching live, please share into your feed so others can join us, and the same for Facebook and YouTube. All right, Carolyn, what would you like to start with?
Well, we were going to do a survey.
Okay, here's how we're going to do this. Rachel, our producer, has been egging Carolyn on because we hardly ever get to the topics of the show. We talk and we get questions and we do all kinds of things, and then we don't necessarily cover the topic. So Rachel said last week, what if we went an hour and 15 minutes and that would give you extra time? So we'd just like to know, are you guys interested in an extra 15 minutes? If you are, maybe we'll tack that on a couple times and see how it works and if we actually cover all of our materials. So just let me know in the chat, and we'll let Carolyn know what the approximate tally is at the end of the show. All right, Carolyn.
Okay, great. So we go to our library and we're doing my sugar book, Exposing Sugar Toxicity, a Clinical Perspective. It's a 3-part series. What do we say about it, Ginny, except the first one is up on Amazon for a superior sum of 99 cents. So, and is it just a Kindle, or are we doing a print version as well?
We are creating a print-on-demand version. It's still in its publishing stages and being formatted properly for Kindle, for Amazon publishing. Melody Rose handles all those details fascinatingly and beautifully. The Exposing Sugar Toxicity Clinical Perspective, though, is available for members right now at drcarolyndean.com. So if you are a member at Carolyn's site, you can go and download it and follow along as we look at all the different chapters. And there's great information in this about sugar toxicity, of course, yeast overgrowth, but also the implications of living a highly sugarized life. And we want people to step away from that. There's a follow-up book to that that'll talk about detoxing sugar, and a follow-up book to that that'll have all kinds of recipes and good things. So it's a 3-part book series that we've done to cover the waterfront of Dr. Dean's unique teachings about sugar and also yeast overgrowth.
Okay, very good. So the blog this week and for the next several weeks is going to be about sugar. And it's, does sugar affect behavior? And I won't read the article. You can find it in toto at drcarolyndean.com. It's the blog of the week. And I guess basically I'll just give an overview that what they say about sugar, especially with children, is that there's no evidence it affects your behavior. But we all know that kids at a sugar-filled birthday party can get out of control. And what I put in the book were several studies that they just blow you away. But they're done back in the, I guess, 70s and 80s. I don't have the date right here. And the first study was conducted by Dr. Stephen Schoenthaler, Schoenthaler. He was a California criminologist, and with the Los Angeles Probation Department in their juvenile facilities, they banned candy, soda, chocolate, sugar, and refined flour products. After 2 years without junk food, they reviewed the evidence among 1,382 inmates in 3 institutions, and the incidence of antisocial behavior had dropped by 44%. And they gave breakdowns about all the different crimes that these children committed, but that was enough evidence for him then to go on to New York. And in the school system, over a 7-year period, they identified about 1 million children in 803 schools, and they established their behavior before, and then they withdrew synthetic colors, flavors, preservatives, and eventually eliminated all of those, along with eliminating high sugar foods. And the children's learning ability increased nearly 16%, and half the children who'd been unable to learn grammar and math were able to perform these tasks after dietary changes were made. And there were no other changes, nothing about teaching methods, curriculum, nothing other than diet. And there were more and more studies, again in the 1980s, showing significant decline, 80% decline in antisocial acts committed by child criminals within 7 months of living on a junk food-free diet. Another study of incarcerated youth who were deprived of junk food showed 100% lower suicide attempts, less use of physical constraints were needed, there were fewer fights and assaults. Then what happened? You'd think, oh yeah, everybody should be doing this. But in 1984, the New York Times reported that the powers that be spoke out against Schoenthaler's work because they didn't want criminals to use poor diet as a legal defense. They argued that criminals needed to be held responsible for their crimes and not excused because they had a food sensitivity. So that was it. That put a stop to these important experiments. I mean, what can we do? I mean, we can support what RFK Jr. is doing about taking from the food manufacturers themselves, taking out these dyes and poisons, and that's why it's important to do that, and it will trickle down, because schools who feed their kids their lunch are going to keep using cheap foods, and they have to be devoid of the dyes and the preservatives and all. I don't know who's going to remove the sugar, though. That's a huge lobby. And what can you do? I mean, it's unfortunate because both parents who work, then junk food is used to pacify the children. So if at all possible, stop giving out sugary treats to children and reward them with activities instead. So Jenny, you worked in the inner city. What do you say about that? I'm sure you noticed diet effects.
Oh, yeah. I'm just stunned that they stopped it because they didn't want to give criminals an excuse, because they thought they needed to be persecuted
Yeah.
to the full extent of the law. And fast forward now to all criminals get to go free. So, I mean, we've come full circle in our ideology about that. And then to cut off the sugar, which we know, of course, was probably not the real motivator. So, yeah, it's just fascinating. And there are a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems across the board. Sugar is no discriminator of persons, right? Socioeconomically, it doesn't matter what your level of income or interest is. Sugar can get you if you're not aware of its effects.
Right. So in a certain age group, it maybe intensifies their energy and their violent or irritable behavior. In some people, it will cause depression.
Yeah.
So anxiety or depression. perhaps everybody should go on a sugar-free diet for a week or so and see how you feel. I think that's the only way to tell when you're addicted to something. Just try as best you can to get rid of it. And maybe you start by doing a 1-day fast, but keep taking all our formulas. You don't have to stop that. If you're taking our protein powder, you could take that a couple times a day as your meal, but perhaps just doing that sort of fasting experiment will give you some insight. And then on day 2 or 3 after fasting for a day or two, eat a bunch of sugar and see how you feel. I gave Bob some. We were at a charity event yesterday for the Paragenius Foundation, and I brought home some cheese, and I gave Bob a toasted cheese sandwich, which he hasn't had in years, and he got his mucus going immediately. So you have to know what effect these foods have on you. So will I go on to the next Maha Agenda talk, or do you have any questions for me, Ginny?
No questions so far, just rolling out with the poll. So far it's thumbs up. So we'll see if there's any dissenters.
Okay. So the Maha Agenda, we talk about it every week. What's going on? Are they being successful? And what was cute this week was the Pete and Bobby challenge, where you saw Pete Hegseth and RFK Jr. doing their pull-ups and doing their push-ups. And seriously, not pull-ups, but I remember doing the push-ups and the sit-ups in grade school. I mean, that was standard. And they're trying to bring that back. So that was really cute. I think the star of the whole challenge there was one young woman. I think she was a Marine, and she did the whole challenge, which I think they were saying at first under 10 minutes, but she did it in 3 minutes. Maybe it was 100 pull-ups and 100 push-ups. So it was really cool. And that will get people moving. We have to get people moving. The next one was Health and Human Services announcing the restoration of the task force. What is it? The Task Force on Safer Childhood Vaccines, a vaccine safety oversight board that went dormant in 1998. It was created in 1986 under the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, and they aim to improve vaccine safety through regular investigations. I mean, some people are up in arms now because they're finding out that there really haven't been no crossover placebo trials on vaccines to prove their effectiveness or safety. And third one, R.F. Kennedy Jr. accused the American Academy of Pediatrics of engaging in a pay-to-play scheme to promote the COVID-19 vaccine guidance. So apparently doctors were paid to either talk about the vaccine or maybe paid for the number of vaccines they gave out. I'm not sure, but he was pretty upset about that. And then at the same time, state officials are still recommending COVID vaccination for pregnant women, even after the Health and Human Services dropped its recommendation for this high-risk group. It's a high-risk group, pregnancy. When I was in medical school, we were told over and over again that you can't introduce anything to a pregnant woman, anything new, any drug, anything, because in the first 3 months, there's such a big risk, 30% risk of miscarriage. And then your patient would blame you for whatever you told them to do or whatever you gave them. But they've just thrown that out the window with giving shots during pregnancy. So that's a real head scratcher. So over to you, Ginny, for any questions or your input.
I can't believe any of the vaccine nonsense for the longest time, especially since all the rules were established after the Cutter incident, where they killed a bunch of people. And then they said, oh, well, we can't do this anymore if we're going to get in trouble for killing people. And they're like, okay, So it's unreal.
Which,
So
which incident?
the Cutter incident, have you heard of that? Okay.
In Qatar, the
No, Cutter, Cutter. It was the vaccine injury incident that led to the uh, actual beginning of this legislation where they said, you can't, we won't make vaccines if we're going to be held accountable for injuries.
yeah.
So, it's just ridiculous. It's been going on that long. And they really, because they have no liability, they just don't care. So it's great that they're going to push back on them.
Yeah.
And this is all for the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what Ginny's saying is Big Pharma wouldn't produce any more vaccines unless they could unless they could be, what's the word, be absolved or somehow not be liable for any injuries that they caused. So that meant, they're not going to make all the safety issues prominent in the company. And we've heard people talking about this. So anyway, yeah, it's horrible.
I just want to say the Cutter incident was related to the polio vaccine. That's how long ago it was. Back in the 50s. So it's been a long time. And we've been laboring under this. And this is why they have to go back and revive these really old laws. You'll notice that's a lot of what they're doing right now. Is reviving the old laws that show that there was a sensible nation at one time where legislative and public policy wonks already knew the dangers and perils of what we and did not want or intend that for our society. So they're going back and retrieving things that have already been established and saying, look, we're dusting this one off. It's appropriate.
Very good. Okay, next, what's this section here on questions and comments? Now, I'm going to, there's a couple of comments here. Okay, so as you know, I have a charitable foundation. I've mentioned it a couple times already today, Paragenius Foundation at parageniusfoundation.org, and it supports organic farming and health education. And Julie and I were invited to a clothing store in the shops of Wailea. They invited a charity in for an afternoon, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened is one of our customers and a person that we met at the Tuesday market. So she's taking our products and she came in to the event and told us that since she stopped taking calcium and began drinking more water with sea salt and taking our minerals, she stopped running to the bathroom with urgency every hour or two. And she was losing inches, which was probably fluid retention. And she says her body feels tighter. So what do I say is happening here? I've written blogs about this. Water follows minerals into your cells. And that means the water is at work in your cells and it's not floating around in your tissues and ending up in your ankles or in your fingers, with tight swollen fingers. So it was just amazing, her just standing there telling us that just drinking more water with sea salt, taking our minerals, it changed her whole life, she said, because she was, I think with fluid retention like that, your brain can get fuzzy even. You can have fluid retention in your brain and give you the brain fog. I haven't talked about that much. I'll have to research it, but that was fun to hear. And then this morning, a friend and a customer of RNA Reset happened upon Julie and I on our morning walk. And this is funny. She's from California, but she visits here occasionally. So at first she admitted that she was really jealous of Julie being on Maui with me. And it was just we were just laughing and cackling about this. about how I talk about Julie all the time. And she said, everybody's out there saying that should be me. I want to be there. So I apologize, but that's the way it is. But then something came up about joints, and this woman said, which I hadn't known, she has a rare condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I studied it in med school. I certainly knew about it. I'd never met anybody with it, but she bent her elbow backwards and said, well, she just had sort of a mild type condition, not as bad as others, people she knew, and everyone in her family was affected. And you can go, actually, if you go online and see people who are hypermobile and do incredible things and, rotate themselves through their arms and legs, they have Ehlers-Danlos. So I couldn't believe it. And I was in a bit of shock because for the book I'm writing on vitamin C, I have been studying Ehlers-Danlos because it's a genetic connective tissue disorder, which to me describes severe vitamin C deficiency. And why so? It's because vitamin C is required to make collagen, which is the building block of connective tissue. So all, everything that connects our joints, all the tissues, skin, everything, tendons, ligaments, it's all connective tissue. And so there's collagen, and then there's elastin. It's another protein that's required to make connective tissue, and it can't be made without magnesium. So when you look up vitamin C and magnesium and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, some sites will say, yeah, these nutrients can help, but because allopathic medicine does not look at nutrients in all the medical education and then the PhD education that these researchers get, they do not regard nutrients as important. So they don't make that little intuitive leap that, connective tissue, it requires vitamin C, it requires magnesium. Let's get on that. No. So we'll be working with our friend and talking to her about how much magnesium she should be taking, how much vitamin C, and all the formulas are going to be important. So, Ginny, I mean, what is this? I'm in a world looking at Ehlers-Danlos for the vitamin C book that you want me to write, and I'm loving doing it. And here comes this example of Ehlers-Danlos. It's amazing.
Well, you're a manifester on top of everything else, but that just goes to show your true passion that you can pluck somebody out of the universe and bring them right to your doorstep so that you can gain even greater insights. And I am really excited about this vitamin C book. I don't think anybody will have done it justice the way you're going to. And I'm ready to knock all the other books off the shelf and get yours front and center, because it's a very exciting topic. And the great thing about vitamin C is it's so accessible.
Yep.
So accessible, right?
Yep. Look at us, Ginny. We're only halfway through the first hour, and I'm getting to the articles for the first time in several months.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you with one question that's pertinent to the topic, and then we'll go. She wants to know, Michelle saying, how do you feel about coconut sugar, stevia, xylitol? Are there any decent sweeteners to use in making tea and coffee?
We settled on stevia for our sweetener because it does not have a glycemic index. It's not a sugar. It gives you the sweetness. So there's probably some, brain effect to drinking something with stevia. But I wouldn't go with the coconut sugars. That's a sugar. Xylitol is a sugar. Alcohol. Any of these OLs that say they're sweet are sugar alcohols. So if you're trying to avoid sugar, then you just stick with stevia. And I've talked about my chocolate avocado pudding. I just, for a huge avocado, I may put in a tiny little apple banana for the sweetener. So there's avocado, little apple banana, coconut cream, and then several tablespoons of cocoa, and I might put a teaspoon of vanilla in, and that's my go-to dessert because I have to have dessert. That's why I made our antifungal, and along with our picometer silver, the antifungal with Saccharomyces boulardii and humic, fulvic, and inulin, because we can't stay away from sugar 100%, or we go through real deprivation. So stevia is the sweetener of choice.
Very good. Outstanding. Excellent. Thank you. All right. What's our first topic?
Brain boosting supplements. Now, this actually, it's on the heels of what I often talk about, pros and cons of supplements, drugs, and research. But this article, and I put them up so people, if you want to search the article yourself, you can just take the title and type it in and find it. So I saw this first one, brain boosting supplements, all hype or some hope. And this is Medscape, they just dig in the controversy about, well, it could be hype, brain boosting supplements. So they put it down right away. And then the next article I found, which has a list of well, actually, it's a poster. So it goes over the first article. It's called A Reality Check on Brain Boosting Supplements. Again, Medscape. And I don't have that as a slide. So what they say in this poster is there's no magic pill for brain health. Now, let me just sidebar here. What have I told you about the 86 billion neurons in the brain? Each of them has 2 million mitochondria. What happens in the mitochondria? A whole slew of Krebs cycles are going around, whirling around, creating energy, ATP, and attaching themselves to magnesium. Magnesium is necessary in the Krebs cycle, and there's 8 or 10 steps. But then at the end of the day, each ATP has to have magnesium. So with 2 million mitochondria, gazillions of Krebs cycles going on, they talk about you're producing your body weight of energy. I still don't understand that. Each person produces their body weight in energy every day. And that means you need a lot of magnesium. So magic pill for brain health, our magnesium. And then they say 75% of products have inaccurate ingredient quantities. And that could be true. I mean, our products, actually, we do a lot of testing on our products. The manufacturer tests and we test. And we also went through very expensive testing for our NSF, our sports certification, because we want to be right up there and be known as a product that has accurate ingredient quantities. They say there's minimal FDA regulation. We've been regulated a lot by the FDA, so I can't say that that's true. They say weak evidence from small studies, but nobody's putting the money into the studies to really show what happens to a person when they take a handful of good supplements from day 1 to 6 months. Maybe we'll work on that. And then it may contain unlisted or dangerous ingredients, and that's true. If you're importing supplements from all over the world, you really don't know what's in those supplements. So that can be true. Unapproved compounds, and then risk of drug interactions. Now, it's a bad joke, but I've joked about the fact that the risk of drug interactions is mainly that allopathic medicine does not want you using supplements for fear that you'll stop using your drugs because you're taking a dietary supplement to help your condition, which means maybe your condition was actually magnesium deficiency in the first place. And then what are they recommending? And you're seeing this everywhere now. Regular exercise, sufficient sleep, social interaction, reduced alcohol. And then they say taking a traditional multivitamin. Now, what they're talking about, I won't name the brand, but synthetic, low potency that doesn't interfere with drugs. And some of these dietary supplements, they're coated. They say it makes it a time release, but the nurses will tell you in nursing homes that they'll hear the clink of this vitamin come out in the toilet because they aren't even broken down because of the shellac coating on these supplements. And then they say the diet should be Mediterranean or a MIND diet, MIND. They're always coming up with these new words or acronyms, but they're saying this will help with neurodegenerative delay, focusing on leafy greens, nuts, berries, whole grains, fish, olive oil, encouraging the reduction of red meat, sweets, and fried foods. Now, I don't agree with the reduction in red meat, but it is kind of important to get grass-fed meat if you can at all, but I know it's horrendously expensive. Luckily, in Maui, we have a free-range Maui cattle company available, so we're very fortunate. So, they're just giving you these very basic things that, yeah, it can make you feel better, but you do need brain nutrients. You really need your magnesium. You really need food-based and methylated Bs, which we work with. And in that formula is methionine and taurine, and they're both methylated amino acids. So they provide methyl groups along with for the B vitamins that are methylated. Really important. You look up methylation and you'll just be shocked of how important it is. And it became more known and noticed because of the MTHFR gene variation that they found in genetic testing. But then they would put people on high dose synthetic methyl B vitamins, which, just, I don't know, probably it helped some people, but we would find people who'd say, well, when I switched to your low potency, natural, food-based and methylated Bs, that made all the difference. So it's getting back to the basics. And yeah, like I said, I've noticed a lot of allopathic medical articles lately making a big deal about diet and exercise and social interaction. I mean, we learned that over the COVID years, how much we suffered because people ate too much crap when they were forced to sit at home. They weren't exercising and they weren't having social interaction. So they're kind of signaling that they're all about lifestyle nutrition, but the diet solution to health problems is not sufficient. You need dietary supplements and you need ones that you trust. And I think in part they're pushing diet to avoid talking about supplements because they know nothing about supplements. Doctors would rather push drugs that have an incredible number of side effects and even fatalities than safe supplements. But I also have an argument about the supplements being synthetic and ineffective compared with our formulas. So there you have it, Jenny, the first article in 3 months. Okay, will we go on to the next one, or do you have questions?
Oh, I'm looking for, I was looking at the wrong screen. I was on the X screen. I want to say that Remite is a phenomenal brain product, and we do talk a lot about it for thyroid, but every single mineral in Remite is very important for your brain. And they're considered nootropics, which is another way of saying a product that's specifically targeted toward cognition and cognitive function. And so be sure to have your Remite along with your Remag and your Realign as a basis. And also, our omegas are fantastic. You can't really overlook. You've got to have the whole thing. And that is another thing, like with these people who are just recommending that diet, they don't say anything about making sure that you have your omegas and eating a lot of fish.
No,
They
no.
don't.
And the fish business is getting more and more controversial because commercial caught fish and farm fish, they're very toxic. They're heavy metals, and then the farm fish, they use a lot of chemicals in the water to keep the fish healthy, because that's difficult. And so that's why our omega-3 is from algae, from clean algae, rather than a poor fish who's sacrificed and then their liver is sent off to some processing plant to squish out the heavy metals and chemicals and drugs, and then they act like that's a natural form of fish oil. Just makes me burp.
Yeah. That's not very appetizing, is it? Everybody who's listening. Okay, let's move on, Carolyn.
Okay, so here's another study. The next one, cognitive scores improve with lifestyle changes. It's another lifestyle study. I guess, again, with the COVID years and all we suffered with bad lifestyle, there's a lot of money going into these lifestyle changes, which you can, as Scott Adams often says, you could have saved the money and just asked me. So in this one, they're talking about global cognitive scores increased from baseline in both a structured group and a self-guided group. So interventions of physical activity, cognitive activity, healthy diet, social engagement, and cardiovascular health monitoring. The study is the first, now get that, the first large-scale randomized clinical trial to show that healthy lifestyle interventions may protect cognitive function in diverse U.S. populations. So they haven't been studying this stuff. They're admitting it here. And they act like, well, drugs were better and better and better, until then they realize they're not as good as even just some lifestyle intervention. So anyway, their genius conclusion is that what we have learned, what we know from this trial, is that healthy behaviors matter. Healthy behaviors matter. You should ask me. Saved you the money. And then the next study, it's not just endorphins. And then, quote, hope molecules could also be why you feel so good after exercising. Now, okay, so they've found this chemical myokine, MYO. Myo means muscle, kine, whatever. It's a hope molecule that's released after exercise. So what does this remind us of? What I've been talking about with Candace Pert, and her being the researcher that identified the endorphin receptors. And she wrote a book called Molecules of Emotion. And after that book, I haven't read this one, but she wrote Everything You Need to Know to Feel Good. And she spells good, but then she brackets one of the O's. So it could read Everything You Need to Know to Feel God. And she said, our emotional state determines how or if ligand and receptor will bind. Now, ligands are the neurotransmitters, hormones, and peptides that approach these receptors in a dynamic vibrating dance. Binding occurs only when the vibrations of the ligand, neurotransmitter, and receptor match. So Dr. Pert, she challenged the conventional lock and key model of receptor neurotransmitter interactions, a metaphor that has long dominated scientific thinking. Instead, she likened receptors to lotus flowers floating on the surface of a lake, with their roots reaching deep into the cell. And the cell membrane is the lake itself. So here's where it becomes revolutionary. Our emotional state influences these vibrations. Across the 70 trillion cells in our body, emotions dictate this binding process. If we are joyful, happiness becomes the emotional frequency that facilitates ligand receptor binding. If we are fearful or stressed, those emotions permeate every cell. So, well, I'll just keep talking about this because what you say, do, and feel affects your emotions and affects everything you do. I mean, I know that from walking along on the hotel walk. I'm just smiling at everyone, and they smile back. And other people who are just looking down at their phone, they're kind of grimacing or looking tough. If I could get them to smile, they'd get a hit of serotonin from me and not from their phone. But there we go. We can make hope. What is it? The hope molecule from exercise. And we can probably do it from many other things, like Candace Pert says. It's worth looking her up and looking up people who are talking about her work. Right, Ginny? Ginny's coming.
Yes, correct. And there's a book called The Psychology of Positivity. And it talks about psychologically what literally happens to your brain. We're talking about your emotions, but what happens to the neuroplasticity in your brain when you're rewiring your brain for joy and positivity and positive expectation, and you're anticipating good things to happen, is that your brain starts operating at a much higher level as well. So, if you're suffering from, say, a little bit of a memory loss, well, just focus on what's coming and what's going to be great about it. And you won't worry about what you don't remember, because you'll be looking forward to what hasn't happened yet. So, all these things are very important strategies for keeping yourself young and also healthy.
Right. And neuroplasticity, I've written about it in blogs. I don't have an index in the Magnesium, the Missing Link, but neuroplasticity is something that magnesium is very good at. Neuroplasticity, it depends on nutrients, especially magnesium. Yep. And you can go back to the 2 million mitochondria. There's so much talk now about mitochondria and, we've got mitochondrial fatigue, and what are we going to do about it? There's no drugs for mitochondria. They end up saying it's all about lifestyle, and then they push people to do more and more exercise, the cold plunges, the hot saunas. They say all those things can rev up your mitochondria, but no, you don't need to push yourself that hard, because and I've said this many times, when you're pushing yourself with hot and cold remedies, you're creating chemicals, neurotransmitters, hormones, and whatever. You're creating them because your body thinks you're trying to kill it, for one thing, and you're utilizing a whole bunch of nutrients that if you don't replace them, then your body's going to feel less energetic. You may get a high from trying to kill yourself, but then you're going to crash when you don't have those nutrients to replenish what you've used up. So there.
Very good. Excellent. All righty.
Next one. Look at us. Wow. We might not need the 15 minutes. I'm going to finish my articles.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next article. Every picture tells a story. This is debunking the 10,000 steps. Now, just briefly about this article, and you saw it everywhere. Every picture tells a story. Debunking 10,000 steps. The researchers on this study were cardiologists, and they measured the health. There were health measures and also all-cause mortality and incidence of cardiovascular disease. They looked at 12 studies involving over 110,000 individuals to quantify the impact of our steps on cardiovascular or all-cause mortality. I mean, they just tie themselves in knots. I can barely describe what they do. Okay, so we've heard forever that you have to get 10,000 steps a day and that'll keep you healthy. And somebody decided, well, maybe it's not 10,000. What if it's 11,000 or 9,000? So they ended up finally saying, well, it's somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000. Now, if you've ever consulted with people, if you know humans, you know that if you tell them, yeah, try to get 10,000 a day, they're going to go for 6,000 or 7,000. You know, people are going to cut back on their own. So I'm always going to say 10,000 and hope people will get that 7,000. If you say you only need 5,000, 7,000 people, oh, well, I can get by with 3,000. So the psychology of this article was so silly. The next article, I should have put it up by the brain one, but it's called Could Magnesium Help Protect Your Brain? And a comprehensive review says yes. And new research highlights magnesium's role in depression, migraine, Alzheimer's, and cognitive function. So that's awesome. And that's what we know. I mean, I should nod my head like that. You know, when people make a declarative statement and they go like this, are they negating it? They are. So magnesium is protecting your brain. What did I say earlier? 86 billion neurons, each have 2 million mitochondria, and needing pounds and pounds of, well, no, needing a lot of magnesium. And the magnesium in our stabilized picometer form is what gets into your brain. So that study is pretty clear. And then the next study, mitochondrial magnesium homeostasis decides cellular energy metabolism and vulnerability to stress. Now, this is a little bit complex, but this is an awesome study. It's in Nature, good, which is a good journal. Abstract says cellular energy production processes are composed of many magnesium-dependent enzymatic reactions. Now, sidebar, I've told you for forever that 80% of known metabolic function requires magnesium, and 600 to 800 enzyme processes require magnesium. So they go on to say, in fact, dysregulation of magnesium homeostasis is involved in various cellular malfunctions and diseases. Recently, mitochondria, the energy-producing organelles, have been known as major intracellular magnesium stores. Thank you. They have proven what I've been saying forever. That's a sidebar. In living cells, whether mitochondrial magnesium alteration affects cellular energy metabolism remains unclear. So they were looking into, in living cells, they wanted to see whether mitochondrial magnesium alteration, increase or decrease, affected cellular energy metabolism. So in the introduction, they give us some more basic information that I say all the time. They say adenosine triphosphate, ATP, is the universal energy currency of cells. ATP binds to a magnesium ion to compose the biologically functional form of intracellular ATP. Give that a heart. I mean, this is seriously important. It's proven. Every time I say that, I think people, well, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. So this magnesium deeply contributes to energy metabolism. Some enzymatic activities of the Krebs cycle are regulated by magnesium. So even they're saying in the Krebs cycle, before the end point of the magnesium attaching to magnesium, like I said earlier, I forgot about this article, so I kind of, preluded it. So some enzymatic activities of the Krebs cycle are regulated by magnesium, and therefore a computer simulation by a realistic metabolic model of the Krebs cycle showed that the mitochondrial magnesium level is the most important regulating factor. The level of magnesium in your mitochondria. Take your magnesium, people. Take more. And yeah, the takeaway from this research, you have to get on Remag and make sure everyone you know is on it. This is a life-saving message. So there, I'll stop. I think I have, one more article, Ginny. So hop in here and then tell me what you got.
I love the life-saving message. Let's get to it. Pandemic aged our brains. I believe it.
Yeah, this is incredible. The pandemic literally aged our brains. Dr. F. Perry Wilson from the Yale School of Medicine comments on a new study. Now, Perry Wilson, I've been quoting him forever. I might not say his name, but he's a Medscape commenter. So he said, living through the COVID pandemic aged your brain by about 5.5 extra months. This, according to new research. It's a pretty scary headline. The virus did not directly infect the brain. I think it could have, but secondary effects of the virus, inflammation and microclotting, do affect the brain, right? There was a loss of smell, right? Which was due to infection of epithelial cells in the nose with inflammation affecting the olfactory bulb of the brain. There was more to the pandemic than just the virus, though. There was social isolation, higher levels of stress, and loss of work and other cognitively stimulating activities. In other words, there were lots of reasons for people's brains to get a little worse during those few years. So they're admitting it, and what I'm saying is you can take our Remag to get back those, you can get back those months.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely something that we know from our information, our research, our everything that we
experience.
Yeah.
Our experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. Look, we did it.
Wow, look at you. That's fantastic. Well, everybody said yes to the extra 15 minutes, but maybe we don't need it. So we'll try it one more time. How's that sound?
Try what?
To get the whole show done in an hour.
Right. I just have to talk faster. Yeah. And there weren't many questions. See, what Jenny was concerned about is we had so many questions and we want to do our questions first. That what we'll do in the future, if we have an overabundance of questions, we'll answer them. We'll go over time as needed. But I think we did good, Jenny.
We did good. We did good. Well, let's wrap it up and just remind everybody again, this sugar book, very important. Exposing Sugar Toxicity, a Clinical Perspective, is at drcarolyndean.com. And you can get your copy by scanning the QR code that's in the corner of your screen. Be sure to head over there. Make sure your friends and family get a chance to see it and look at it. Forward Carolyn's blogs that's talking about the topic because it is important. The RNA Reset is Dr. Dean's very own, very special curation of formulas that she designed just for you. Well, for herself first, and then for you. She takes every single one of her own products and she loves and adores them, and we do too. And they have all saved us a lot of life and given our life back in many, many cases. We want you to have that experience. Please, rnareset.com. We are definitely in the top 2% of all 260,000 dietary supplement products that are on the market. Between our quality control, our testing, our innovation, and our research, we're in the top 2% of the products. Yay, in the world. And also, we're not going to leave our pets out, picopets.com. You got to head over there. We've got great stuff going on. Make sure you're on our social because we've got great stuff coming out. about how we support our dogs and also whose dogs are involved and all the things that we're doing in XYZ. So be sure you're on our social as well.
Hey, Ginny, we had an artist, Kate, paint the dogs on our labels. Can we see pictures of those?
It's coming out. That's why I said make sure you're on our social, picopets.co on Instagram and Facebook, because our huge campaign launching the portraits and explaining all the dogs and the videos and all the things is coming up. So you won't want to miss that. It's a fascinating story. It's all unfolding.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Ginny.
Awesome. All right, everybody.
Thanks, Millie DeRose. Thanks, everybody.
Mahalo.
And hearts.
Hearts. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Dr. Carolyn Dean, the doctor of the future. Become a member of drcarolyndean.com and get access to all her leading edge of creation information, as well as archives, webinars, and other valuable media resources. Join Dr. Dean and Ginny Almighty same time again next week.